morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I just wanted to take a minute to go over the market, some open positions that I'm in for the weekend. I don't usually do live trading, but I figured I'd take today and do a little video. So right now, let's take a look at just S&P. So SPY S&P. Yesterday, we had a strong move up. Actually 2 days ago, strong move up. And then as soon as Biden announced the capital tax gain, everything just sold off instantly and kind of pretty much closed it low of the day. Unfortunately, that was rough because we had so much momentum going into the day yesterday, and all of a sudden it just killed the momentum. However, today it looks like it's kind of rebounding. If you can see this little W shape here, so it broke that broke on to the upside. We got positive momentum on the 15-minute. So all in all, maybe it was just a little setback. We kind of held the lows from the day prior over here at 411. And in the grand scheme of things, we're still hovering, around near all-time highs. We're holding this 8 EMA. It's just consolidating around there. Maybe next week into earnings, all the tech earnings, maybe we break this and go up. And then roll over, or come back at least and test the 21 EMA. We'll see, but right now the NASDAQ, pretty similar. Like I said, everything sold off yesterday. This one taking a little bit longer to recover today, but you see it's starting to break out now to the upside. Trading a little below the 8 EMA, but still trying to consolidate around it. Big tech earnings are coming up next week. Facebook, I think Google and Amazon too are coming up. Where are they at? Yep, 429. So next week is a big week for the NASDAQ. Hopefully that could push markets higher. Maybe they go into earnings and after decide to cool off a little bit. We'll see. But I'm playing into strength into next week. Some of my current plays are pins. Pins. A couple days ago, earlier in the week, kind of had this big sell-off on some news that earnings might be weaker than anticipated. Then you can see I just kind of sold off, in the daily time frame, kind of riding this trend line now. I think this sell-off was just, overdone, exaggerated. We can see today or last night, Snap had earnings and they were better than they thought they would be based on what drove this down. If I pull up Snap real quick, so Snap, very similar to Pins, where it had that drop off because there was an article out that said, Pins and Snap, they're anticipating some higher than normal cost and, expected some weaker earnings. But you could see very similar to Pins, and we had this gap up in the morning. They had better earnings than expected. So on that note, Pins is kind of seeing some of that love as well right here. And you can see it's kind of gapped up and kind of consolidating now. Like I said, this sell-off was extreme. Looks like we're recovering. If we could break this 75.84 level, I think we could retest these 80s into next week. They do have earnings on 27th, which is Tuesday, so very early in the week next week. I have some shares here, so I'm looking to hold maybe through earnings or sell some calls. But you can see we have the ready signal down here. We have RSI trending up. The stochastics looks like wants to cross over here, which is positive. So you can see last time we got down here to this level over here and here, we had that spike up. We had that nice little run. Fortunately, earnings, it's going to be dependent upon that. But maybe we see, some strengthening to the rest of the day today, and then into Monday, maybe that strength continues. This one has a history, I think, of running up. So yeah, this is earnings. Ran up into earnings. Jumped up the week before earnings and kind of consolidated a little bit, and ultimately gapped up on earnings. So this will be interesting. Given that Snap gapped up on earnings, we'll see how that goes. But I like the weekly chart here. This is what really got me in here. It's riding this trend line. It's holding this 21 EMA. You can see buyers are coming in. These long wicks right here. It's telling me buyers are coming in at these levels, pushing it back up. We have a weekly squeeze here. Yeah, we have some, bearish signals over here, but all in all, this trend holds. This is a weekly time frame, so this might take longer to fire. Maybe that the earnings can get this to fire along, and we can retest highs. We did get some upgrades, I think, the other day to price target of 100, so that's good news too. So all in all, I'm looking for strength into next week with all the big earnings coming up. So pins should be hopefully a benefactor of that. See if we can break out above this level, the 75 area, or 76 really, and then get higher. Next I have DKNG. Been holding this one since back here because we were in a squeeze at the time, and I wanted to buy the dip. I think I bought it around the 50-day or something like that. But you can see it's holding this 100 EMA. It's been acting as support. It's a dark blue line. It broke below it a little bit. Had a little more exaggerated sell-off than I like to see, but kind of recovered nicely. Now it's kind of consolidating around the 208 EMA here. Had a nice run yesterday, or the last couple days. You can see it from here, but then like yesterday, everything sold off, but it seems to be recovering. I'd like to see a break of this morning's high, which is about 58. If we get above that level, maybe we can see 60. We have earnings coming up. Ultimately, all the EMAs are kind of negative here, unfortunately, or stacked negatively, which is bearish. But we have earnings come up for Q1. Q1 had Super Bowl, a lot of big sports going on. So I'm hopeful that earnings would kind of see a gap up after this. I'm probably going to hold my share through earnings. This is more of a longer term play for me. We have momentum coming up. We have the ready fire signal on a daily. Let's see what the weekly looks like. Weekly looking good. Everything's positive. We have the EMA stacked. We have, the support at 34. You can see 34 support here, 34 support here, and same thing right now during this week. 34 is holding a support. Yeah, we have some red 10x bars, but let's see if next week's strength hopefully could start showing some more positive momentum here. Maybe this pre-squeeze turns into like a higher, or a red dot squeeze, and then we fire off because we are oversold. Like I said, ready aim fire. Looks like the RSI wants to start heading upward. But yeah, so keep an eye on DKNG. I'm looking for at least retest 60s. If we break above these EMAs right here, we could probably retest 70s into earnings. If we break below 54, we're probably going to come back down to 50. It all depends on the market, but this area right here at 55 has been strong support before. Dip down, traded above. So this is what we want to see. Prior it was acting as resistance, this area. Now it's acting as support. So we like to see active support. Maybe we can jump higher and then retest these areas at the highs. MRVL, still holding this one, have shares in it. Like the market, it's sold off pretty good the last couple days. Took that tank yesterday. It seems to be recovering today. I would have liked it to see on the daily chart to hold this 200 EMA because we had this nice little, higher high, higher low thing going on, and it's still in there. So we like to see a bullish case would be to break 51 because we have this higher low, higher high, and higher low again. If we could break above this and close above here, that trend will still be intact for me. We have the ready signal. We are oversold a little bit on the daily. On the weekly time frame, it's positive EMAs are stacked. We have earnings coming up. We have a squeeze. I like to see these be yellow or green 10x bars, but let's see. The 34 seems to be acting as good support. If any case, 50 is the next support for the weekly at 42. But the 34 seems to be acting as good support back here and during this week, and then same here for this week. So let's see if we get some momentum into next week. I'm really looking for it to get back up to 55, but I have to break this 51 level. Like I said, if we break below 45, I'd say we're going to come back probably and test this 43 range. If we break that, there's nothing down here, maybe 37, but I doubt we'll see that unless the market really truly rolls over. But keep an eye on this one. I like this as a longer term play for 5G. Blink, been in this one for a while. Crazy swings up and down. A couple weeks ago or last week was at 46. Came all the way back down, bled all the way down. Typical Blink, high short interest stock, big swings. So you have to be very cautious with this and be able to sit through these violent swings. Today we're having a good day here. We're looking like we're testing yesterday's highs, which you can see it sold off yesterday, but we're coming back up. On a daily time frame, it looks like we're getting this ready fire signal down here. We held this low of about 32. I would love to see it hold 35, but ultimately it broke below it. But if we could break this 42 level and then retest this level, that's what I'm looking for. If we break 42, retest 46, we break 46 on the 50 and higher, especially if we get some positive Momo into earnings coming up, and they just released some news. Looks like they're securing some more deals now. We have the stochastics crossing over here, RSI trending up. Similar to back here where we see, every time the the stochastic crosses, so we have the cross here, we had this little pop, we had this cross here, we had this little pop. So that's what I'm looking for in this one. We have earnings. I'm looking for that little run into earnings, hopefully, if the market holds up. But this is a longer term midterm play. The 2-day squeeze is what got me pretty intrigued here too, because on 2-day, we have the L10X bars, we have this 5-6 day squeeze, we have the positive momentum, we have the ready signal, and similar to the 1-day, it looks like this is all trying to turn down here in RSI and slow stochastics. So hopefully, if this daily, could shape up a little bit, maybe the 2-day will squeeze and fire off. The weekly time frame still looks good. We have all the EMA stacked. Would love to have seen the price hold this 36 level. It looks like we're trying to close above it today. If we close above that, that'd be great, because that's saying buyers are coming in here. You can see all these little wicks right here. I'll make this a little bigger. You can see all these wicks that come in here and try to push it up above this 21 EMA at the 36 level the last couple weeks, at least closing out the week at this level. So the weekly's looking good. We do have a squeeze here, a little bearish momentum, but hopefully some of this positive momentum next week, if we get it, can start turning this around. And this squeeze could be parabolic if it goes long with the short. I think it's 30 or 40% short interest. So if we break this 46 level, I'm looking to retest these highs on some good volume. So we'll check that out and see how that goes. FUBO, obviously been in this one for a while too. Got back in around, we're in a squeeze, bought the pullback, you had this little jump up, but then ultimately sold off after earnings. This earning numbers was flawed. I think it's, a lot of it was non-cash expense if you actually look at the financials. So it was a little exaggerated with that. I think it was like warrants and stock compensation that's really non-cash to them, but they expense it as a cash item. We are starting to look good on here. We got this daily squeeze forming. We got this positive divergence in the squeeze right here in the momentum. We have the stock price coming down, and we have this momentum, coming higher and higher, and we are oversold, starting to get out of the oversold territory. We have the ready aim fire signal a couple days ago. Now we're looking to break a little bit higher. We have earnings coming up. It looks like we're now trading above the 8 EMA, which happened back a couple weeks ago in this high volume that didn't hold. It failed. Ultimately, at this trend line, you can see here I have this little trend line coming. That 1-day had high volume, went all the way up to 26, and just sold off ever since. Which we hit the trend line and the 21 EMA, both resistance, and it couldn't break above it. So ultimately sold off, failed. Now we're trading above the 8 EMA and actually closing above it. If we close above this 8 EMA today, that is bullish in my opinion with this squeeze into earnings. The next level would be 21 EMA at 22 around that area. If we break this and this excess support, we could probably retest these high, maybe some short interest. I think this is like 30% short interest, maybe like 15 actually now. The short's probably covered down here. That's probably what held this support, is where shorts covering their position. But so far it's looking better. It's not looking great. Obviously it's going to take a lot to get this moving, because you have all of this resistance up here. Once we break above the 50 and 200, then I'd feel a little bit more bullish. But if we could get some more juice out of this, if we break yesterday's high at 21, maybe next week starts to shape up for a rebound. But ultimately we have to break this 25 level before we retest 30. We'll see some sellers probably come in there. So let me see. I think we have a weekly. Do we have weekly squeeze? No weekly squeeze. But let's check out the weekly time frame. Yeah, we still have green 10x bars here. Nothing crazy. Oversold, obviously. We want to see a break of this weekly candle too at 23. So once we break that 25 level, I think it's all systems go for this one. But this whole sell-off, they were talking about this whole sell-off being exaggerated after earnings because of that one fund that had to liquidate all their positions. There's some news articles down here which talk about it a little bit, and personally I think that's a big reason why things have sold off. And then just once they had to liquidate that fund's positions, it triggered stop losses, and then shorts came in. So it kind of like a, I don't want to say double-edged sword, just kind of just everything was so bad for it, unfortunately, and especially right after earnings has happened, after they had this inflated number, in my opinion. So it's taken a while for this one to recover. But sports, I think they're gonna have a good Q1 report, mainly because of the Super Bowl and some other sports, basketball, everything going on. So, we'll see how this goes into the week. I like this one for a longer term play, just based on the sports and gambling it's about to get into, hopefully in the third quarter. I'm trading the charts, but at the same time, some of the news is highly dependent on this stock as well. But I originally got back in here when the squeeze, looking for it to retest these highs, but it failed. So I'm just holding that one. I bought stock in this mainly because I was being more patient with this. So in this type of market, I like to buy, buying more shares and options because of the volatility. That way I feel comfortable holding a while, and I'm not, worried so much. TLRY, I'm in this one too. Have shares, bought back when it was in the squeeze. Should have had some stop losses in here. I set it for a day instead of the good to cancel, and unfortunately, it hurt me. So right now we're looking to find some support at this level right here, in this $16 to $17 range. We've been trading around it for a while. They have their TLRY is going to be merging with another company, TLRY, I think it is. They'll be the largest cannabis company in the world, I believe. After that, they have earnings coming up, but the big thing was with the whole purchase price for the other company is they're saying the valuation, this TLRY had to come down, unfortunately, to kind of make the purchase price more I'd say accurate, but more sustainable. So hopefully once the merger goes through, maybe we could see this kind of rebound and some strength in the MJ market as some other states start to legalize. We're oversold on the daily, on the weekly, getting oversold here. So if this holds up, maybe we could retest 20, 25. We had some of these, it's a high short interest stock too, so it jumps. So it's this 18. It's been trading between 18 and like 15 the last couple of days. But if it breaks 15, we're probably coming back down to 12, 10. Earnings are going to play a big part in that. Fortunately, I think the company they're buying had weak earnings, so I'm not looking forward to. I'm not looking for strong numbers, but we'll see. Maybe we get a little run into earnings depending on market strength. But this one has been volatile. Have shares, more of a longer term hold for me, just overall in the MJ sector. Everyone starts to legalize. They don't have much of a U.S. presence now, but I think the acquisition of the new company positions them well. So hopefully that could show some momentum here. Maybe I'm waiting for one of these type. This one typically consolidates and just fires off long, random time. So I'm waiting for one of these type moves. Small position, nothing crazy, but holding that one. I'm not sure if I talked about Disney yet, but Disney, I originally got back in this one a couple days ago. I like this one for a running play into earnings. We have this dip, the 50 held, and we had this run back up. It dipped to the 50 in a squeeze, so I hopped in, bought some options around here. On this pop, I sold some calls around my, I have May 180 calls for this right now. Right now, I sold some shorter term calls for that just to kind of recoup some of my money on that, which has been working well. But this 100-day on Disney seems to be working very well here. It's holding support. We do have the squeeze. Yeah, it's getting a little bearish here, but we have some crossovers here. We have the ready aim signal. It's kind of getting tired, just a little sell-off. Earnings coming up. Netflix just released their earnings were not as strong, so hopefully Disney is taking some of that market share, and we get some good earnings from them, or at least a run into earnings, which you can see this last run was pretty significant. So if we take a look at this last run up, it's kind of similar. If the timing wise, 127. So I'm thinking the timing wise is like right here, and then we get that run into earnings. So maybe by next week, if we could just reverse, maybe we'll see a run up. Had a run up the last two earnings, so I'm looking forward to seeing this maybe possibly run up on market strength as well. We have a daily squeeze, 2-day squeeze, weekly squeeze, a lot of squeezes on this one. But the main thing that got me into this one was the Ichimoku cloud at first. Let me see if I could show you it. I'll use this one. All right. So right now, this is what got me in. So we came here, touched the Ichimoku cloud, bounced, and this is the 50-day support right here as well. We had the same thing happen here where it came to here, and then we hit that 50-day EMA right there, and then it started mimicking it, but it kind of failed. Now it's trading down here, so I'm hoping that you know, this holds a support and we can break back to the upside, but we'll see. It's finding support at this 180 level, 183. So you know, it's a play into earnings. I have to see it. You know, I'm gonna manage my options into next week and see if it doesn't turn around by next week. I may cut it loose then, just because, you know, the premium. But we'll see, or maybe reduce it to sell one or two of the calls. I believe that's all I'm in right now. CROX, I did have a little quick overnight trade the other day on this. I should have held because this one kind of just took off. So I bought a in the money call. It's actually a 75 strike call here. Sold it here for, you know, a quick 30-40% profit. But yesterday it just took off. Could have, you know, did a lot better. But in this type of market, you know, it's better just to take your winners, you know, when you have them, in my opinion, or just leave one on and let them run. I should have left one or two contracts on, but I didn't want to, you know, lose it, especially with the dip yesterday, and you know. But this one ultimately looks really strong. I wish, you know, I bought more shares, but the overall market weakness is kind of weighing in on me a little bit since we're at all-time highs, and I have a lot of positions already. So let me see if I get back to this. But this one looks great. I mean, this 100 days, that's what got me in there. I bought back in here at the 100-day, just thinking that we're gonna get a quick pop, and sure enough, we did. Earnings coming up next week. You know, if this one can have report good earnings, you know, we can see all-time highs here. It looks like it's trying to test all-time highs into next week. Skechers did pretty well the other day. If you look what Skechers did. They have earnings today. They had earnings yesterday, so look what Skechers did. This has a very similar structure to Skechers. Wow, I'm kind of looking, I might buy some CROC options into next week now with that news. That might be a good play. Let's take a minute here. Wow, so this looks like very similar to what CROX is doing now and just breaking out. So, wow. Yeah, wow, they must have good earnings. Let's see what they said. Price upgrades. Wait. When did they? Oh, they had earnings 2 days ago? 2 days ago. Where's. Oh, yeah, so they had earnings, so they reached 68 cents a share. Wow, kind of blew it out of the water, it looks like. 44 last time, around this time. So, yeah, they're doing very well. Wow. All right, so let me look at CROX a little bit more, and so I know it's up today. Yeah, CROX is popping. So you can see how it has a similar kind of consolidating, and this is, look at this squeeze. The squeeze is long. I might put some options into earnings and hold through, and then yeah. So take a look at this one. Nice squeeze, ready, aim, fire signal. Wish I held my options on this one. 21 EMA on the daily, holding strong. You can see that's another reason why I bought back in the other day at the 75 level, just because it had a lot of support at that range. You know, EMA wise, price wise, everything kind of lined up for me there on that. So yeah, this is what I got right now. Hopefully, you know, we get some more strength into next week. Let's take a look how the market's faring now. SPY is still up, Qs are up, everything's looking good as far as my open positions here. So, you know, everyone have a good weekend. Hopefully Monday we get a little bit more continuation into earnings strength. Take care.